Macron warns Johnson nothing is negotiable over the Northern Ireland Protocol. Oh, okay. This article is from last week, prior to the G7 meeting, but um, come on, man, took a few days off. Uploaded a lot of content, so back in the saddle. So, the French president last week ramped up pressure on Boris Johnson over the Northern Ireland Protocol by insisting nothing is negotiable. So we know that's not 100% true because the EU are apparently offering concessions over, life-saving medicines to go from GB to NI that may not be authorised by the European Medicines Agency, but that are approved by the UK Medicines Agency. So, by negotiable, I think he means that nothing, the agreement isn't going to be opened back up again. I think that's what he means by that. But there is still negotiations going on. So, I don't know really what he's talking about. He could be talking about the actual agreement itself, because the agreement is kind of in flux because they have joint committees discussing what's going on. So, as the G7 summit of the world leaders risked being overshadowed by the bitter standoff over Brexit, and it kind of was because Boris Johnson was talking about Article 16, this and that, and it kind of was overshadowed by Brexit. Each kind of leader, apart from I think the Japanese. I'm not sure who was there from Japan. It was probably the Japanese Prime Minister, but I didn't see Hinzo Abe's name mentioned, so I don't know. But each leader, the Canadians had a word with Boris Johnson. That's something we'll be talking about soon. But it looked like each leader, apart from Japan, and also the EU officials that are there as guests, all had a word with Boris Johnson through bilateral meetings, which shows you that my man got bullied. And that's probably why he was talking about Article 16 and the union and blah blah blah, because he knows he's in trouble. In a defiant intervention as he prepared to travel to the UK, Macron warned Boris Johnson that France is not open to renegotiating any aspect of the protocol. And so the issue is that all of the EU member states need to agree to any kind of proper renegotiation. So if the agreement gets opened back up, all EU members will have to agree to any changes. And the issue is that, Macron's saying, look, I'm going to veto it, bro. Don't even try it because it's a waste of time. Macron even appeared to raise questions about whether the UK could be trusted, which, to be fair, I don't think we can. So asked about British demands for aspects of the protocol to be reworked, Macron told journalists, I think this is not serious. To want to have another look at something in July, which was finalised in December after years of discussions and work. The Northern Ireland Protocol was not an easy agreement to come up with. They had to deal with Theresa May, which was an absolute nightmare on both sides, and then they had to deal with Bojo the Wonder Clown. So they're not going to renegotiate this, especially since it's only been implemented for about 6 months now, which isn't a long time, and the fact that it's still not fully being implemented because there are still grace periods active. There's still grace periods on chilled meats, and what's his name, Lord Frost. Extended one of the grace periods from March to October, I believe. So this argument that Boris Johnson making things aren't working and blah blah blah, bro, you agreed to this in 2019, you have to make this thing work, or at least attempt to, and you're clearly not. Macron goes on to say, we have a protocol. If after 6 months you say we cannot respect what was negotiated, then that says nothing can be respected. And that's a dangerous line of thought there, that nothing the UK says can be respected. Not to mention the fact that the EU did actually offer longer grace periods. We just didn't take them. I don't understand why we didn't. We just didn't. Macron says, I believe in the weight of a treaty. I believe in taking a serious approach. Nothing is negotiable. Everything is applicable. So he's saying that, but that's kind of an implied threat about the extension to the grace period that's ending in July over chilled meats. That's what that is. That's a threat right here. And everything is applicable. So don't try and do unilateral actions. We've already spoken about the EU threatening kind of trade threatening trade sanctions if the UK takes unilateral action again. So it looks like this time a few EU leaders have gotten together and told Šefčovič, bro, time to take the gloves off, start throwing haymakers now. You need to make something happen because they are taking the mick. His tough words came as Johnson was forced to downplay divisions with the US President Joe Biden, calling him a breath of fresh air after emerged US diplomats had remonstrated with the UK's Brexit negotiator, Frosty, the Iceman, about the risk of tensions being inflamed in Northern Ireland. So that's a separate article. It's the top US diplomat in the UK who apparently reprimanded the Iceman. So we'll talk about that in a separate article when we get to it. Otherwise these videos will be forever. So talks on resolving the impasse over the implementation of the protocol collapsed without agreement earlier last week. So we spoke about that previously, about the offer of concessions on medicines, etc., that the EU were planning on making, but then for whatever reason things had collapsed. The UK wanting equivalency, but the EU wanting dynamic alignment, which makes sense given that the UK cannot be trusted, and we are chasing unicorn deals with countries with lower standards than ours, which can't even be scrutinised until they are agreed to. We can't scrutinise a deal until it's been agreed to by both states. So, say the UK and Australia. It's only now that that UK-Australia deal can be scrutinised before it's voted on, which is just ridiculous. So the EU wouldn't know the details of a specific deal, and neither do we in Britain until it's voted on, which can take a long time and can impact the kind of equivalency that we have if we have to lower standards to get an agreement. And we've already spoken about how there is an existing loophole with the UK-Australia deal that will allow the public sector to buy Australian hormone beef. So again, that's going to impact our equivalency arrangements anyways. That's why dynamic alignment is better, because it stops anything like this happening, and it's also public that other countries can't push for the UK to have lower standards because we have dynamic alignment with the EU. So both Downing Street and the White House reaffirmed their commitment to the Good Friday Agreement after the talks and stressed the need for a standoff to be resolved jointly between the UK and the EU. So Joe Biden, as we've mentioned before, he equates the success of the Good Friday Agreement to the success of the Northern Ireland Protocol. So the UK has to make this thing work, because if the UK fails to make the Northern Ireland Protocol work, then Joe Biden will most likely see this as going to result in the failure of the Good Friday Agreement, which took a long time to sign. The troubles I think lasted from the 1970s till about 1998. That's a hell of a long time for guerrilla warfare to last. So anyways, but Johnson's spokesperson made clear afterwards that didn't mean the UK was stepping back from the threat of taking unilateral action. So we know that already. The Americans equate the success of the Northern Ireland Protocol with the success of the Good Friday Agreement, and the UK are once again threatening unilateral action over chilled meats. And this time it's worse because the EU doesn't allow chilled meats to come in from third countries. It doesn't allow it. It has to be fresh or frozen. There's no in between. And the UK doing this will threaten the integrity of the single market, because chances are that chilled meat could easily go into the could go into Ireland or any other member state from Northern Ireland, because chilled meat typically lasts longer than fresh meat. So this is a key problem here, because this breaches part of the kind of EU single market rules, and this is a problem. Article 16 of the agreement to suspend the protocol, we continue to keep all options on the table because time is short, the spokesperson said. So that's a British spokesperson saying this, that Article 16 is on the table. So basically the UK is trying to threaten the EU, saying that you either offer us the concessions we want or we're going to suspend the protocol, which again is dangerous and will cause more problems, because we don't know what the EU is going to do from there, because a hard border in Ireland will be probably worst case scenario. So what does that mean? Ireland isn't going to come out of the single market, as we've discussed in a previous video. So at that point, we don't know what's going to happen. And I can see the EU dropping major trade sanctions on the UK if the Northern Ireland Protocol is suspended. But that's speculation. So EU analyst Mujtaba Rahman said he now puts a 30% probability on the risk of an EU-UK trade war. I'd put it at about 50%, to be honest, mate. EU could retaliate by limiting UK fish exports. Fish exports that have already been hammered because of Brexit are going to be made even worse. So the EU could put quotas or a tariff on, and even interrupting the UK's electricity to supply to Jersey and mainland Great Britain. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to target financials, because that Moral, I can't remember how to pronounce. I got corrected by a lot of people in the comments, but yeah, McGuinness is in charge of some sort of financial committee in the EU, and she could be the one to start taking away passporting and things like that from the UK when it comes to financial services. So that's probably the best step for the EU to take, in all honesty, because that wouldn't impact Northern Ireland as much. If you start dropping tariffs, that's going to impact Northern Ireland massively, because that means that goods going into Northern Ireland not only have to go through the long paperwork and checks, declarations, etc. You're going to have to pay a tariff, and then you're going to have to apply to get that that tariff back, the fee back essentially, from the relevant committees, the EU or Northern Ireland, whoever's in charge of that. I think it would be the UK Border Force. They would have to claim the money back, which is really long, and it will damage Northern Ireland far more than what's happened currently. So I think the best thing for the EU to do is target financials, but I don't know. The Prime Minister's spokesperson rejected Macron's comments, saying we are absolutely acting in accordance with what was agreed. That's not true at all. We are not acting in accordance because we haven't actually fulfilled the parts of the Northern Ireland Protocol we promised to implement. So that's a load of rubbish. And what was set out, that's again, these are lies. He said the protocol had been agreed in challenging circumstances. That's a massive lie. It really wasn't. You guys said this is a great deal, and now you're trying to backtrack. And if I was working within the UK media space, like I suppose I am, but if I was working for a proper news outlet who could interview these people, I'd have video from that year saying that, oh, this is you saying it's a great deal. Now you're saying it was agreed under duress. Like what? You said we hold all the cards. Now suddenly we're getting bullied. Like be real, man. The spokesperson claimed the UK had already made more than 10 proposals for resolving the standoff. We're yet to hear back. But the thing is, did you give the EU enough time? Did you put these proposals in last minute and say on a Monday evening or a Friday evening, say, oh, we expect to hear back for you tomorrow? And that's not how it works. This is a professional setting. Things take time to look over. Not to mention the fact that the EU has so many stakeholders. Of course, it's going to take time to hear back from the EU because there are so many different countries and entities involved. Our view is the EU continues to prioritise protection of the single market. I mean, obviously, that's the whole point of the single market. It's, that's one of the things the EU is looking to protect because of its unique status, the single market. Like, don't be stupid. Even though there is very little risk to it, but they want to take a no-risk approach, which absolutely entitled to. Like, we're the ones that are putting risk on the EU single market. We're the ones that are the problem here. The Prime Minister insisted that discussions with Biden had been very good. This stuff, we'll discuss more about the US-UK relations at another time. But they do mention the fact that the Good Friday Agreement is so important, and to make sure to keep the balance of the peace going, that's absolutely common ground. But the problem is the way both countries have kind of spun it. And we're going to be talking about some bad headlines from the BBC and another news outlet in a few days. Biden was similarly effusive about what he called very productive meeting, referring in his post-talks comments like special relationship and blah blah blah. Apparently Johnson's not a fan of the special relationship, so the word effusive means showing or expressing gratitude or pleasure. So Biden was similarly showing gratitude about very productive meeting. The problem is that, how productive were these meetings, because the UK is still threatening unilateral action. The rest of this article is not too important. I guess you could argue some of the stuff I covered isn't super relevant to Macron's comments. But main point is that, Macron saying that, the Northern Ireland Protocol is non-negotiable and the EU are basically going to veto things related to it. So basically, if the UK pushes for renegotiations, even if the EU allow it, which I doubt they will, France is going to say no. Say bye. No. Is that how French people sound? No. I can't do a good French accent. Anyways, that's going to wrap it up here. I've rambled on a bit more than I should have done. I've indulged myself. Okay, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.